So this is lesson 5.5a in elementary algebra, multiplication with polynomials. This should go fairly smooth. It looks like it's kind of a short section here, but we're just going to get started. Example 1, 3x squared times the quantity 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. Alright, so if you remember right, we do distribution. We multiply this by each term here. And remember, when you multiply, you can multiply anything. It's when you add and subtract that you can only add terms that have the same variable and the same exponent on the variable. Multiplication doesn't matter. So what we do is we take 3 times 2, and we get 6. Then we take x squared times x squared. Now x squared times x squared means 2 plus 2. So 6x to the 4th. Now we multiply the 3x squared times 4x. So 3 times 4 is 12. X squared times x to the 1st is 2 plus 1. Then we do the last one. All we have is numbers that we can multiply, and then the x squared stays the same since there's nothing to multiply it. And we are done with that one. Alright, so distributive property. Not too terribly hard. You've done it a lot, and it shouldn't give you a whole lot of trouble. Now what we're going to do, it's also called the distributive property, but I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the distributive part of it. But what we have is two binomials. And if you count what we've got here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we're going to follow a procedure when we multiply these. And some of you may remember a method called the FOIL method. So FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. So let me go ahead and erase that and do it first, outside, inside, last. Okay, so the way this works, we'll do it with green. Take the first term, multiply it by the other first term. That's what we have by that. And that gives me 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. Outside means we multiply this one here times this one here. Those are the outside. They're the outermost numbers. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3x. Alright, let's do red. Inside, 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 negative 10x. And then we'll do blue, and this is the last. Would be that one and that one, the last numbers. Negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. And normally what will happen is the two inside terms you'll be able to combine. And you're done. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to be doing is learning the FOIL method, which we did right here. But we're also going to learn to separate these and go back to the two binomials. So now we're multiplying these and getting this. Later on we'll be given this and we're going to want to go back to that. Okay, so there's reasons for both of those. So actually what we did when we did this FOIL method is we had 3x minus 5 times 2x minus 1, and what we did is we multiplied this 3x times each one of these. Okay, so this gave me 6x squared, that gave me negative 3x. Okay, 6x squared minus 3x. Then what we did is we took this one and multiplied it by that and by that. And that's where we got negative 5 times 2 would be negative 10x, which is what we have here. Negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. Okay, so you can use the FOIL method, which is what I do, and get these four terms, combine these two middle ones, and you get this. Or you can use the distributive. Multiply this times each one, then multiply this times each one and combine the like terms, and you'll still get the same answer. Either way works. It just depends on how you would rather do it, what makes the most sense to you. So, all right, that jumps us to example 3, and they're just practicing the FOIL method again. Okay, so we've got FOIL. So first, 2x and 5x. Outside, 2x and negative 4. Inside, 3 and 5x. Last, 3 and negative 4. Okay? And if you wanted to do it, in fact, let's do the distributive. Let's do it this way too. Gives me 10x squared minus 8x 15x negative 12. Okay? You get the same thing either way. So we get 10x squared plus 7x minus 12 for our answer. And we are done. Okay, so let's keep pushing along here. And let's go down to example 4, letter B. X minus 2, y plus 3. Okay, FOIL. X times y. Okay, when you multiply two variables, you just stick them together. You can't really multiply them, so you just stick them together and say, I would like to multiply x times y. And so you leave them like that. Then our outside, then our inside, then our last. Now notice here, there is nothing we can combine because all the variables are different. All the exponents are ones, but all the variables are different, so we can't combine anything, so we are stuck with what we've got there. Now if we look at letter C in example 4, we have this, which gives us even a bigger mess. First, a times x, outside, x times negative b. I usually put them alphabetical, and if I can, I put the x last. Inside, and last. That's it. Kind of done there. Alright, so that takes us down to D in example 4. 5x minus 1, 2x plus 6. Okay, FOIL. 5x times 2x. Outside, 5x and 6. Inside, negative 1 and 2x. And last, negative 1 and 6. Again, we can combine these usually. Not always, but usually. And we're done. Alright, now let's look at multiplying polynomials. What we've done here is multiplied binomials using the FOIL method. Alright, I remember when I showed you to do the distributive when you're doing these. Well, this section here gives you a chance to practice that because that's your only option here. So we're going to multiply that trinomial times another trinomial. Oh, goodness. Looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Well, here we go. We're going to multiply this times each one of these. Okay? So let's do that. X squared times 3x squared. Okay? 3 times 1 in front of this x is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, we're going to multiply that times the x right here. Okay, So that's going to be plus x cubed, because 2 plus the 1 on there. Now that 1x squared times negative 5. I'm going to have to write smaller here. Okay, so I just did the distribution for that. Now let's do the negative 4x. Negative 4x times 3x squared is negative 12x cubed, 2 plus 1. Negative 4x times positive x here gives me negative 4x squared, because I have to add that in that. Okay, now I'm going to take my negative 4x times negative 5. So negative times a negative is a positive 20x. Alright, so now I've got to multiply this times this, this, and that. So 2 times 3x squared, 2 times x, 2 times negative 5. Okay, so now I got a whole bunch of stuff here. And I'm going to combine what I can. Do I have any other x to the fourth? No, I don't. So that's going to be part of my final answer. So I'm going to get rid of that. X cubed. I've got an x cubed here and 1 there, and that's it. So 1x cubed minus 12x cubed is negative 11x cubed. So I'm going to scribble those out. And let's go with green. I've got a negative 5x squared minus a 4x squared and a 6x squared. So negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9, plus 6 is negative 3. Might have to think through that a little bit about where that negative 3 came from. But it's negative 5 minus 4. Signs are the same. Add them together, put the sign on them. So 5 plus 4 is 9, put the sign on it, negative 9. Add a 6. Signs are different, so you take the difference between 9 and 6, which is 3, put the sign of the largest number, which is a negative 9, on the answer, and that's where the negative came from. Alright, so that takes care of that, that, and that, leaving me with a 20x and a 2x. And the negative 10, nothing can be done with, so we end up with a stinking crazy answer, like that. Okay, there's also another way of doing these problems, and I'm going to show you that in the next video, and it's called the column method, and we'll get into it for example 6.